Welcome back everyone, it's Eric from Rare Candy here today on the channel. We're going to be taking a look at Double Blaze. This is the new set that just got revealed in full for Japan. It will eventually come internationally released whenever Broken Bonds does release in May. But in the meantime, Japan, of course, is going to get these cards first. So this video is actually going to be a little bit different from the usual. We typically don't do any type of like first impression videos like this. Normally we have our big 4 or 5 hour long set reviews, with the fancy graphics and high production values, all that type of stuff. But I was kind of thinking, this might be kind of nice. We can have a little bit of a shorter video, kind of an informal discussion, just literally some first initial impressions about some of these cards, maybe to hold you guys over until our inevitable set review does still come out. We're still going to do our big set reviews. They're one of our big pieces we always do on the channel. We definitely aren't going to abandon those. But like I said, this might be nice to hold people over until we do that. So if you guys do end up enjoying this video, definitely feel free to let me know down below in the comments section to keep your feedback in mind going forward. So yeah, this is Double Blaze. About 100 cards, I believe, are in the set. We're going to be taking a look at all of that, excluding the secret rares and full arts. Those have not yet been released. But yeah, let's hop in and see what new stuff we have in store for us here. So it looks like we have a Vileplume line. Nothing special about the Oddishes. We have Gloom. Okay, has an ability, once during your turn, flip a coin. If heads, you put a basic from your opponent's hand onto their bench. So kind of like Target Whistle. Could be okay. Like, you probably wouldn't build around this ability, but it's kind of nice to have, I guess, if you whiff like your rare candy to go into Vileplume. Could be pretty cool, especially because the other Vileplume prevents damage from basics, so you could theoretically force them to bench like some basic Pokemon that can't attack into you. Also could be good potentially just as like a one-of in decks that run Ditto. That could be kind of cool, I think, as well. But yeah, kind of a decent Gloom that we have here. We got Vileplume. Has an ability, of course. Please don't be item lock. Let's see. Once during your turn before you attack, flip a coin if heads. You may leave your opponent's active. Poison, burn, sleep, or confused. So not too good. Coin flip, ability here. It's kind of not even a great ability, and it's on a stage 2. Probably won't see play. Attacks pretty bad too. We got Venomoth here. We're striking out so far, guys. We'll eventually get a good card. Venomoth here. I believe I saw some people talking about this online a few days ago. Colorless Energy, you can only use this if your opponent's active is affected by a special condition. So this attack does 90 to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. It doesn't seem too great. I mean, 90 is a pretty good number to hit. You can knock out Jirachis, you can knock out like low HP, unevolved basics, and things like that, but needing a special condition to inflict this seems pretty bad. Now, we do have a couple ways to make that happen. There's Salazzle, there's like the Koga cards from one of the other recent Japanese sets, but overall doesn't seem too great to me. I don't expect that one to see a lot of play. Next we have Reshiram Charizard GX. This is, I'm gonna assume, a good card. This is like the big mascot of the set here. New tag team, 270 HP, so pretty tanky. Has Outrage, Fire Colors, 30 plus 10 for every damage counter on this Pokemon. Seems pretty good, 270 HP, more than likely you're not getting knocked out in one hit, so I'm sure will be able to abuse Outrage. Flare Strike, 3 fire and a colorless, 230. You can't use Flare Strike next turn. Then Double Blaze, 3 fire does 200, and if you have 3 more, it does 100 more, and it goes through any effects. So it's kind of interesting. One thing that's important to note, there are some fire support cards in the set. There's like a new supporter that can accelerate energy, and there's a new Volcanion. So there are ways to get this thing up and running we have to think about. It seems okay. I mean, we still have Caolan in format as well. So, I mean, I can see a world where this thing is definitely good, especially with all of the new fire support that we're getting in this set. This isn't really my style of card. I probably won't ever play with this, even if it is a good card. It's just not my style. But card definitely seems pretty decent for sure. And expanded too, we also have Blacksmith, Baby Volcanion, stuff like that. So I can definitely see Reshiram Charizard being a pretty solid card here. We got Arcanine, 3 fire, 120, attach 2 fire from your discard one of your bench Pokemon. Honestly, really not a bad attack. You can go like attach for turn, use the new Fire Draw supporter to accelerate 2 more energies, then get 2 fire energies out, discard on something else. So it's okay. I don't think this is good enough to play over the other fire support that we have though. Like, if you're attacking for 3 energy, I feel like you'd rather just use Charizard and Reshiram, since it's a basic, 270 HP. it can hit even harder than this thing can. The second attack on Arcanine also not very good. So card's not bad, just probably outclassed by some of the other stuff that we have. Let's see, Darmanitan. Darumaka does have Flame Charge, which is pretty good. Looks like it has synergy here. Then Flare Blitz, discard all fire, attach to this Pokemon. Yeah, Darmanitan probably not going to be good. I'd probably play Arcanine over this guy. So, moving on. We have Volcanion. Yeah, I do remember this card being kind of decent, and I actually do like the art on this. I know I'm in the minority. I do enjoy all of the CG artwork. I know a lot of people prefer the hand-drawn stuff, but I think it looks pretty decent, I suppose. But yeah, I remember the first attack being okay here. So search your deck for a fire energy, reveal it, attach it to a Pokemon. But then if you're going second on your first turn, you can search for 3 fire energy instead. So that's actually pretty darn solid. I know there was a Moltres, I think it was back in Lost Thunder, that kind of had a similar attack. It was like 30 for 1 and attach a fire from hand. I think if I'm going to play anything, I'm going to prefer to play this unless there's like a really weird type of math I need to hit with 30 damage. But I feel like the benefit of being able to attach 3 on turn 2, I guess on your turn 1 going second, I think that just outclasses Moltres. Second attack here is also half decent. 50 plus 60, if there's 4 or more fire energy attached to all of your Pokemon in play, more than likely if you're playing Volcanion, you're playing pretty hefty attackers anyway, so I think you can probably get value out of that. I think that's much better than Moltres' attack as well, or second attack, I should say. So that seems decent. I think this is probably the best like fire support starter Pokemon that we have right now. So I can see a world where I'm playing this in like my Charizard deck, or Ho-Oh GX decks, or Reshiram GX. Seems decent. Next up, we have, looks like an Incineroar line. We do have a Litten that has a colorless attack, so we can use that with Incineroar GX potentially. Nothing too special here. Incineroar, though, it's a new fire type one. Your attacks do 30 more to your opponent's active before applying a weakness and resistance. That's actually pretty good. I do like that. Before applying weakness and resistance specifically. But you can only use one of these abilities per turn, so these will not stack. Okay, so, well, also the attack, I guess we can point out, doesn't look too great. 90 for 2, discard energy. Well, I guess it's technically 120 once you factor in the buff, so it's not terrible, but I think the ability is really the reason we would play this. This is, I think, just like an obvious one of in your Incineroar decks, or Incineroar GX decks in particular, just because Incineroar GX I think is actually a really cool card, but the math on the card is a little bit bad sometimes, so this can actually kind of get you in range of taking one-hit knockouts, because you can go 160 with this thing, then with a choice band you're hitting 190, so you can actually start hitting much better numbers than you used to be able to. So I think this is cool there. Also, I actually think this could be an option for Zoroark decks, believe it or not. Just because we've seen people like shove like a stage 2 lines in Zoroark decks before. You throw like a 302 line or a 202 or something like that. Even something like this you could definitely play like a pretty thin count of, and it'll make your Zoroark's math much better. So Ride is speeding with choice band is 150, plus this is 180, plus Kukui is 200, plus Devour Field 210. It starts actually making your math really, really good against even like stage 1 GXs. So I think that is an option. Zoroark might just have plenty of other better partners, but that definitely seems like something to consider. Zoroark's okay. I can get down with it. It's an alright card. Let's see, Salazzle. I do remember seeing this card get revealed prior, so I actually did know what this one did. But it has Roast Reveal, just like the old Ninetales back from the Heart Gold era, which did see play. Discard a fire from hand, draw 3. So it's basically Heat Factory built in as an ability. So that's definitely good. Blacephalon, this is an easy inclusion for that. You already run Ditto, more than likely, since you've probably been trying to play Muck. So this is an easy one of. You don't even have to play Salandit, I don't think. But this ability is definitely super, super good. I like this card a lot. Especially, like I said, since we do have Ditto, it makes running the card even easier than like the old Ninetales from back in the day. So this definitely seems good. I like Salazzle. Blacephalon, a baby one. Have no idea what this does. So it is, of course, a baby version. It is still an Ultra Beast, but you do have to keep that in mind. So it does get access to Beast Ring. But first attack for a fire, 10. Plus 50 if you flip over one of your prize cards, and it's a fire energy. And it stays up the rest of the game. That's actually pretty cool. Okay, so if you're playing this in Blacephalon, you probably run around 15 energy. So you actually have half decent odds of hitting that. And hitting 60 is actually relevant. You can knock out Jirachis, also knock out like low HP basics like Zaruas, Ralts, etc. So yeah, that's an okay attack. Second one, 3 fire. Discard any number of fire from your hand, 50 for each discarded in this way. Huh, that's actually really interesting. I gotta say, I actually kind of like this attack because there is, of course, the new fire supporter, which we already like kind of mentioned. It lets you attach 2 and you draw 3. So you do that, attach return. There's fiery flint to search all of the fires to your hand. There's like a new fire item. It lets you get like 3 fires back in hand from discard. So there's a lot of support for this thing. That seems good. So I feel like you could even build this kind of like Blacephalon, but instead of like Naganales, you can maybe play like even Rabombi or something like cute like that to search out the energies. But like I said, we have Beast Rings to get all of the fire energies on this guy. We have the supporter. So I don't know. I actually kind of do like this Blacephalon. It seems pretty cool. I'm not sure if it's better than the GX, but I feel like it functions kind of similarly in a way. And it's cool you don't have to send your energies to the Lost Zone either. So I don't know. I have to say I'm a fan of this. I am actually kind of eager to try this one out. So keep an eye out for that one, I think. We have Poliwag with an ability. You can only use this ability if you go second on your first turn. You may leave your opponent's active confused. Okay, that's... I mean, it's not terrible, but it's something. And okay, never mind. That one's bad. This one has Call for Family, so just play this Poliwag. Okay, so yeah, Call for Family is definitely better. So Poliwrath, that's really what we want to look at, though. So Stage 2, of course, DCE 50, that's pretty terrible. Whirlpool Rush, Water DCE 90, plus 90 more if you have Poliwag and Poliwhirl on bench. So that's kind of cute, but the fact that you have to like have like all of the different evolutions in play, and it's a Stage 2, probably not too good. Like there's enough support to like set this up if you really are intent on it, but yeah, just this seems just outclassed. I think there's much better, easier ways to do 180. Let's see, we have Dugong. Everything is colorless on it, so that's kind of cool. Might make it splashable as like a Ditto target, maybe. DCE 60, pretty weak there. Dual Blizzard, triple colorless, discard 2 energy, 60 to 2 of your opponent's Pokemon. Okay. That's actually kind of relevant. I mean, we've seen like the dual splash attackers before that do like the 50 snipe to 2 different things, and that's been like okay, but the reason those attacks usually haven't been that great is because they're 10 damage shy a lot of the time of doing relevant math. So the fact that you can actually knock out low HP basics with this is really, really big. Also good against things like Lost March as well. You can just like bop 2 Natus or like 2 Hoppips or something like that. That seems kind of cool. I really don't know what you'd play it in. Like if you're playing Ditto in Malamar, this could be like a one of, but it seems okay. I do like the attack. I don't know really what deck is wanting this. You literally can't build around this card, I don't think, so it might just be like a random Ditto target at some point for some deck, but it seems okay. It's a card I would at least like always try to keep in mind when deck building. Let's see, we have Kingler, Water DC 80, flip coin, they're paralyzed, that's pretty bad. Massive Rend, ooh, that's a oof right there, Kingler. Probably not going to see play. We have Stunfisk. I actually do remember seeing this. This was one of the cards that did get revealed a couple days ago, or maybe even a week ago, I forget. But Lightning type, everything is colorless on this guy, which is really nice. And it has some synergy with a Spirit Tomb, if I remember correctly. So Lightning Strike 30, 10 damage to 1 of your bench Pokemon. So one thing that's cool about this is Lightning type, so obviously we get all of the insane Lightning support in the form of Electro powers, which is really cool. So even this meager like 1 for 30 attack can easily scale to something a little bit more potent. And it actually does have synergy with the second attack, DCE, and it is 30 for the amount of Pokemon that you have in play with damage counters on them. So the Spirit Tomb, that allows you to put a damage counter on the Spirit Tomb. The first attack here puts a damage counter on it. We still have things like Rainbow Energy as well. So there's definitely some ways to get this thing up and running to fulfill this attack cost. But let's just run through the math. If all of your Pokemon have at least 1 damage counter on them, you're doing 180 for just a DCE on this thing, which is pretty nuts. And that's before factoring in choice bands, Electro powers, etc., etc. So yeah, I have to say I actually really do like this Stunfisk. This could easily be like a new like Shrine style deck with just the Stunfisks, and the Spirit Tombs. Maybe you could even play some Tapu Kokos if you're already playing like double colorless energy. So, and if you're playing Rainbow, that does open you up to playing things like Buzzwole or even Nihilego or even Zapdos. So I definitely think there is a world where this card is good. I definitely like this a lot. Definitely curious to try this one out. Next up we have the first, I think, tag team where we have two of the same Pokemon. We have Muck and Alolan Muck GX. So the first type we're going to look at is Bad Poison. Psychic DCE, your opponent's active is Poison. Put 8 damage counters instead of 1 on that Pokemon between turns. Okay, that is something. Second attack, Poison, triple colorless, 120. Your opponent's active is Poison. Heal 100 from this Pokemon. Okay, that's interesting. And the GX attack for 0 energy. Your opponent's active is now Poison paralyzed. Oh, but if you have 4 or more energy attached, put 15 damage counters instead of 1 on that Pokemon in between turns for Poison. So this is definitely an interesting card. Now, my issue with this, even though a lot of these things are impressive, there's just so many actual switching cards right now in the format. There's, Zapdos decks that run anywhere between like 6 to 8 like switching cards, excluding Guzmas at that. Even things like Ultra Necrozma is going to run, 3 to 4 Guzmas, maybe around 4 switching cards. Even Zoroark, they're going to run things like Acerola too, in addition to Guzmas, and they can also just like hard retreat. So I'm not even really sure if this Muck is going to be introduced into a metagame that's going to be favorable to it. Now, of course, when like Unbroken Bonds comes out, there's going to be plenty of other archetypes being injected into the metagame, but I'm just thinking for how the game looks right now, this card definitely doesn't look like it would be that great. Poison Lick actually I think is the most interesting attack here, just because if you're playing against decks that can't one-shot you, healing 100 is actually pretty devastating. Now, if you are going to power this up, you could just play it with Malamar. I think that'll work just fine, since you want to accelerate Psychic Energy. That seems like a perfectly reasonable way to power this thing up. I just probably think it's not going to be too great in the short term. I think there is some Stadium in this set that has something to do with status conditions, so we'll have to look at that in a little bit and see if that makes a difference. But yeah, not a big fan of this Muck. I think it's cool, just not sure if it has what it takes to actually be a legitimate deck. Let's see, we got Ghastly, an ability. When it's knocked out, search your deck for up to 2 Haunter, put them on your bench. That's pretty good. I think this Ghastly is actually probably better than the Muck tag team we just looked at. That's super good. You have like a built-in Lance Prism Star for your Haunters. So that's actually really cool because you get out the Haunters on your opponent's turn, then your turn you can just immediately evolve into Gengar. So that's actually really, really cool. I like it a lot. Let's see, other Ghastly. Poison for colorless, some more HP, but we really don't care if this thing dies just because we get 2 Haunters. So I think it's definitely like the best Ghastly we have. Haunter, 1 damage counter and poison. That's okay, nothing special. Gengar, 130 HP. Free retreat, I do like that on Gengar. Let's see, you can use this ability once during your turn whenever you evolve into it. 6 damage counters on your opponent's GXs and EXs. Okay, so that's kind of cool. So I guess the idea is you're going to play a bunch of these Gengars. You're going to play the spell tags. There's even like a Gengar in Crimson Invasion, I think it was, that allows you to, or when your opponent attaches energy, I think it is, they take extra damage. I think that's what it's, I forget off the top of my head. But I know there's another Gengar that kind of has some synergy. But yeah, definitely a cool ability. Let's see, the attack, Twilight Poison, 3 colorless, 70. Your opponent's active is Poison and Asleep. That's unfortunately not too great. It's effectively 3 energy for 80. I guess with the choice band, it's 110, but the damage output, I think, on that is a little bit weak. I really wish this would have just been a DCE. Like, ideally, this attack would be DCE 70, or it would be 3 colorless and do, like, I don't know, 100 or something like that, or 90 would even be a much better number to hit for here. Yeah, just because a stage 2, 3 energy, you do 70, does not seem too good. But, I mean, the ability is great. If you can start swarming these things, maybe play some Shrine of Punishment, spell tags, you do have some ways to actually, do a decent amount of damage. It's just against the non-GX decks is where this might start to fall apart. But I don't know. Card seems okay, but I think it's probably not good enough to actually be a real deck, though. We have Wheezing. Let's see here. Anytime between turns, if this Pokemon is active, put 1 damage counter on each of your opponent's basic Pokemon. Okay, that's like a shrine for basic Pokemon. That's kind of cool, I guess. Especially if you get this up pretty early before your opponent gets set up. That could be nice. Let's see, but we have to have a reason to have Weezing in the active spot, though. So it has an attack DCE 40. We are off to a bad start, guys. This stat is 20 to each of your opponent's bench Pokemon that has any damage counters on it. Okay, so you can see the synergy. We, swing for 40, put 1 damage counter between turns, and then from there, the attack from there will like start to kind of compound and add more damage counters. So I could actually see this being kind of a decent card against stuff like Zapdos, Jirachi, and decks like that, but I'd have to imagine you just get absolutely buried by Zoroark decks. You would have to play something else alongside this thing. I don't think you could go all in on just like a Weezing deck. Just because realistically, you're never going to like knock out a Zoroark before they ace roll it back up or something like that. So yeah, Weezing would definitely need some sort of partner. I think it's cool, but I think the damage output is just a little too low. It's kind of like Gengar. Like, this attack is fine, but the base amount of damage needs to be higher for the attack cost and what it does. If this was like Scatter Sludge and did 70 for DCE, I'd say, okay, that's cool. We can go Choice Band 100, and then the snipe damage from the ability and the attack will kind of make our numbers even out from there. But 40 is just pretty bad. So I think Weezing is just a little bit underpowered for where it needs to be. It's a cool card, just the base damage of this attack definitely need to be much higher, I think. So we have Mewtwo. I do remember people talking about this card. It did get revealed a few days ago or prior to when the set got revealed. But it has an ability, Mind Report, when this Pokemon, or when you play it from your hand on your bench, choose supporter from your discard, show it to your opponent, put it on top of your deck. And then the attack just 70 goes through effects. So the ability is definitely the thing that people have kind of been talking about. But I have to say, I'm really not even a huge fan of this. It's already bad enough that you're committing a Mewtwo to the bench, and it's going to just do nothing after you bench this thing. So if that's the case, I really wish this ability would have made the Mewtwo go straight to hand. I think that would have been a lot better in this case. Or, like, alternatively, like, the ability needs to be the supporter goes to hand, or if it's going to go on top of your deck, I would rather see this be like an ability you could use every turn or something. Well, actually that might be a little busted, just like stacking Guzmas on top of your deck to win the game and stuff. That seems pretty busted. So yeah, maybe it is fine the way they designed it, but I think I still would have rather have seen this go to hand. That would be a lot better. Because right now we can already pal pad without having to sacrifice a bench spot. We have Magcargo, so some decks can just stack a Guzma or draw support or whatever it is on top of their deck. But I guess if you're playing a deck that maybe can't find the space to run something like Magcargo, I could see this being half decent. It's okay. I'm not blown away by it. I can see a world where someone's going to play this, but I think overall it's a pretty underwhelming card though. Next up we have Mew. This is another one that got revealed a bit ahead of time, and I actually do like this one a bit better than the Mewtwo. So Mew 60 HP, of course pretty weak, but it's okay. It is Elm searchable, and it has bench barrier. So just like the old Mr. Mimes from back in the day, it prevents bench damage done by your opponent's attacks. And what's even better about Mewtwo over like Mr. Mime as an example, it actually has kind of an irrelevant attack here. The Mr. Mimes, you literally like never used their attacks in any of the decks they were ever played in. But this one actually does have a half decent one, just a colorless energy. Put 3 damage counters on your opponent's field any way you want. So nothing special, but it's better than the options that we've had with Mr. Mime in the past. So I definitely like this. We don't really have something like this in the format outside of like Sky Pillar or Machoke, but Machoke's a stage 1. Sky Pillar can just be bumped out of play. So this is a nice, somewhat reliable way of preventing bench damage. So yeah, Mew's definitely a good card. Like I said, I think this is better than Mime in most cases. Even like maybe even in expanded format, not sure yet, but I definitely like this card. Let's see, we have Miss Magius. Let's see, it has an ability. Once during your turn, knock out this Pokemon. If you do, draw until you have 7, then the attack's 70 and asleep. Okay, attack's bad, so really the part of discussion here is going to be this ability. Honestly, can't say I'm a big fan. We already have like a ton of very powerful support Pokemon in the current format. In a number of different forms. We have Marshadow, Tapu Lele, we have the new Dedenne GX coming out in Unbroken Bonds as well. Even as far as stage 1s go, we have Pidgeotto, we have Zebstrika, we have Magcargo. So this is probably not too good. I think to make this more enticing, it might have been knock out Miss Magius, draw 7. Now, that would have me a little bit more excited. But yeah, seems a little bit underwhelming, unfortunately. So next up we have Esper and Meowstic. Let's see. Ear Kinesis on Esper real quick. 20 to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon for each damage counter on that Pokemon. Okay. It's actually not a terrible attack, but just 3 colorless on a 60 HP basic. Nah, we're good. We do have Meowstic though. Let's see. Psychic DCE 70. Defending Pokemon's weakness is Psychic. Yeah, it's not good. Pretty bad. Pretty bad. Speaking of bad, we have Marshadow and Machamp GX. I do remember seeing this card already too. I thought this was total trash. And even the artwork, I think this might be like the worst GX artwork we've had so far. I just think these guys look absolutely absurd in this illustration. But yeah, so Machamp and Marshadow here really got the shaft with the card design and the artwork, I think. But let's take a look at the Revenge, Fighting Colorist. 30 plus 90 if any of your Pokemon were knocked out by an opponent's attack last turn, so it's kind of okay. 100 Impact, Fighting Colorist, just a nice 160 is fine. And then Extremity of Stalwart GX, what a pretentious attack name. So Fighting Colorist still 200, but if you have 1 extra energy, it has Focus Sash, basically. Basically, if you're going to be knocked out by damage from an opponent's attack next turn, you're not knocked out and your HP becomes 10 instead. So that's pretty good. My issue with this card, though, is there's just not really any good fighting acceleration right now. Like, 100 Impact is a decent attack because, you know, Diancie Choice Band, it's going to get you where you need to be most of the time. But there's just not a great way to power this up. I think the only potential option for this in Standard is going to be something like the new Porygon, which we're going to talk about a little bit later. So that's an option, I will say that. In Expanded, this card is much better, though, because we have Max Elixir still in that format. But in Standard, yeah, this card is big flaming hot trash right now for the moment. Next up, we have Diglett with an ability. If this Pokemon is discarded by the effect of Giovanni's Exile, discard the top card of your opponent's deck. Okay. So Giovanni's Exile, it's a supporter. It discards 2 of your Pokemon in play with no damage counters, I think is what it reads. So that's interesting. We'll have to keep reading to see if there's anything else, but there might be some other cards here that are supposed to be for like some sort of mill archetype. That's interesting. So we'll have to see what else is in here. We have the Trio. Let's see, 30 plus 60 more if you have a Stadium. That's actually pretty good. So that's 90. There's a new Fighting Stadium in the set that does at the least 10 more damage. So that's going to be 100 minimum, 120 with Diancie, 150 with Choice Band. So yeah, the numbers actually stack pretty well for this thing. Huh. Yeah, I actually kind of do like this Duck Tree. It's really not too bad. Yeah, I mean, 90 HP is okay, but it's fine. You're going to trade pretty effectively with a lot of things out there. So, yeah, I'm not really blown away by this Duck Tree, but it actually seems okay. So, kind of an adequate card. Nothing great, but decent. Let's see, Cubone. We got Marowak. Flip until you get Tails, 50 for... Nope, we're not doing that one. Salt Boom, 70... Plus 70 more if your opponent's active has a tool. For 3 energy, I am good on that. Now, the good thing about Marowak here, though, this is colorless, and it is a stage 1. Or the attack cost is colorless, I should say. So if you are like trying to combat against Zoroark or something like that, or maybe Pikachu Zekrom or something else that's fighting weak, this could be a potential Ditto target. So that's really the only use I can see for this, but really not a great card other than that. And even then, it's nothing special. So let's see, we got a couple Rhyhorns, 80 HP and 90 HP. Let's see. Pushdown's actually a pretty good attack. 20 for 1, your opponent switches. For like a pre-evolution, like basic like this, that's actually kind of decent. Let's see. Rhydon. Okay, so we're starting to get into the meme territory here. We have Dirty Work. For DCE, discard the top card of your opponent's deck. If you've played Giovanni's Exile from your hand this turn, discard the top 5 instead. Okay, so you can kind of see what they're doing here with the whole Diglett thing, and we'll have to see if there's anything else that kind of ties into this, but that seems kind of interesting. You know, we also have the Rhyperior that whenever you evolve into it, mills 3, so that's actually kind of cute. You could potentially play like Shining Celebi and, you know, attack with your Rhyperior that has like 160, 170 HP. So that seems kind of cool. I can maybe get down with that. I'm not sure if the whole Giovanni's Exile thing is going to be strong enough to do every turn because you're going to still need to find energy. You're still going to need to find Pokemon to evolve, but that definitely seems kind of cool though. So I'm curious to try that out. I would actually like to build this and see how good it is, but my gut tells me it might not be that great. But if you can successfully figure out a way to do this discard 5 every turn, that's actually really impactful. I really do like that. If there is a way to make that work consistently. Right now my knee-jerk reaction is probably not, but we'll see. We have another Rhyperior. Let's see. 170 HP, that's actually like really good. And what is going on with the art on this thing? Like, does Rhyperior always look this weird? Like, I don't know. Maybe I don't look at Rhyperior enough, but not a big fan of the art on this thing. Massive Cannon, 90. If your opponent's active as a basic, it can't attack. Okay. That's something. You know, we have a pretty basic heavy format right now with all the tag teams. You know, outside of that, there's Zoroark, and Zoroark gets knocked out by fighting stuff, so that's actually like not completely terrible. It does take 2 attachments, which is unfortunate. So if they ever knock out your only Rhyperior with energy, you're in kind of a bad spot. So for that reason alone, I'm not sure if this will see play, but I don't know. This is actually kind of decent based on the team up meta. Again, things will change whenever Unbroken Bond comes out, but based on the team up meta, this is actually a pretty good attack. But I don't know. Then even like the Pikachu Zekrom decks can just go like Escape Rope Guzma and knock you out. So maybe not. Rhyperior probably won't see too much play. Alright, so next up we have Tyrogue, and this is actually pretty cool. The baby Pokemon are coming back into the format. I think the last time we saw these guys, it was all the way back in Call of Legends. So literally like back in like 2011, it was the last time we saw any of these baby Pokemon. And I'm kind of bummed that they aren't the like the types of baby Pokemon that can evolve, like the old like Neo era baby Pokemon, or like the EX era ones, or the Diamond and Pearl era ones. So I definitely am a little bit bummed about that. I always enjoyed that. It always just seems kind of weird thematically that technically these Pokemon can evolve in like the video game and stuff, but in the card game they're not allowed to. It's really odd. So kind of annoyed by that, but nevertheless, still kind of cool to see the baby Pokemon finally make their return. And I forget what they all do, but I do remember they all have kind of a similar type of ability here. They all have like a coin flip ability that ends your turn with a different effect. So once during your turn, you may flip a coin. If heads, put 3 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon. Either way, your turn now ends. So that is pretty steep. You can just like flip a coin, try to get an effect, and your turn ends. Like at least with stuff like Tropical Beach, you're guaranteed an effect before your turn ends. So I don't really like that too much, but nevertheless, I still can see a world where Tyrogue has potential, just because, especially if you're going first and you can't attack anyways, you can like Elm out your basics, one of which can be Tyrogue, and then you can end your turn by maybe getting 3 damage counters on the field. Because it's an ability and not an attack, you can get around like the first turn rules. So that seems okay. And you know, unless there's like some very popular 30 HP Pokemon that start seeing play, I just don't know if it's actually going to be worth the spot for that or not. So yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about this. I see how this could be a decent one of, but right now I'm not super sold on it. Alright, so we have Landorus up next. So let's see, linear attack, fighting energy 30-1. Okay, so it's kind of like a baby Jet Punch there. Let's see, then Power Cyclone, fighting color 60, move and energy. Okay, so this card's decent, I guess. I don't think this ever probably sees play over Baby Buzz, just because Baby Buzz has 130 HP and also can make use of Beast Energy. Like, it's cool that you can snipe with this if you choose to, but I feel like I'd rather just have Sledgehammer. Sledgehammer's just such a good attack. So, Landers probably won't see too much play. It's not a bad card. It's probably just outclassed by some of the other better fighting Pokemon we have right now. Let's see. We have Crabrawler and Crabominable. Let's see. So this guy, it's got Fight Alone for DCE, 30 plus 60 if you have fewer Pokemon in play. Wait. If you have fewer Pokemon in play than your opponent, this attack does 60 more for each Pokemon fewer you have. Alright, so, I mean, if you have 2 fewer Pokemon, let's just say that you're doing 150, so Diancie, you're doing 170. Choice Band 200. New Fighting Stadium 210. So yeah, I mean, I could see a world where the numbers of this really does start to climb up there. But I don't know. This seems super, super sketchy to actually make happen. I'm not sure how I feel about this because I guess your ideal board state is going to be a Crabominable and literally another Crabrawler or Ditto. And, well, I don't know. I don't like basing my entire deck around a card whose damage output is so variable like this. But at the same time, it is just a DCE-based attacker, so I don't know. Fighting has support for it, so it's not terrible. I don't think it's good enough to like do well at a big tournament, but it's like good enough to win some games with, like on PTCGO probably. Next up, we have Honchcrow GX. Yes, I've been waiting to get to this guy. So this is yet again another card that got revealed a little bit before the whole set got revealed. And yeah, there's I think a lot to like with this guy. It's a stage 1, has this ability. Whenever it's your active Pokemon, your opponent can't play tool cards, special energies, or stadium cards from their hand during their turn. So it's Chaos Wheel. It's the old ability on Giratina EX, and literally the same effect that's on the Mismagius from Crimson Invasion as well, just as an ability. So this is super, super strong, especially because there's a new item in the set too that allows your Murkrows to evolve on the first turn. So that seems pretty good. First turn, going to shut off those DCEs or those Beast Energies, Unit Energies, whatever it might be, Rainbow Energies, those Thunder Mountains, those Heat Factories, those Escape Boards to retreat your Jirachis. Yeah, this is definitely a great ability. Definitely balance the fact that it does make your your Honchcrow be active, so that's cool too. Pretty balanced card design there. But let's see its attacks. Dark DCE 90, then 30 to 2 bench GXs or EXs. So it's a decent attack. Kind of reminds me of Glaceon in the sense you're both trying to like Glaceon's aiming to kind of slow down the pace of the game, and it has just kind of some average attacks that can kind of keep it going throughout the game. And Honchcrow's kind of the same way. This attack, it's like a decent attack, but you're kind of relying on the disruption of your ability to bring the game down slow enough to where this attack is actually really good. 30 to 2 GX is pretty good. I wish you could hit non-GXs because the 30 snipe is actually really relevant against like basics like Inkays as an example, but still not a terrible attack. And then Unfair GX, your opponent reveals their hand, discard 2 cards from it. Okay, so yeah, I like a lot of the stuff going on for this card. I feel like your path with this thing is you evolve your Murkrow first turn, especially if you go second, you attach DCE and immediately use Unfair GX. So basically, between the ability and the discarding of their cards out of their hand, you can hopefully buy a turn to where you're not going to get attacked, or at least maybe not attacked for very much. And then from there, you can start putting on pressure with Featherstorm. So I think this card is definitely super good. The fact that you get to actually look at your opponent's hand and discard or choose the cards you discard is really cool. We've seen Chaos Wheel even be a good attack, on Giratina EX going. I think the last time it was kind of a relevant card was at Roanoke Regionals at the beginning of last year. So that was before Lost Thunder had come out and some of the bans had gone into effect. But there was even some decks still playing Giratina EX at that event that did well. So this effect is definitely super, super strong. Being able to basically shut down Zoroark decks with this ability is pretty wild. So I have to say I do like this thing. It is weak to lightning, which is a little bit unfortunate lately, given how popular all these different lightning Pokemon have been. But nevertheless, guys, I do think this is a pretty strong card. One of my favorites from the set. So next up we have Spirit Tomb. Kind of talked about this one earlier. It kind of goes with the Stunfisk we looked at, but it has an ability. You get to put a damage counter on it. And then its attack is actually pretty good too. 10 plus 30 for each damage counter on this Pokemon. So ideally, if you get all 5 damage counters on it, you're going to be hitting 160, which is not too bad. With a Choice Band, that's going to be 190. Seems pretty good. Shrine to Punishment from there if you want to go that route. So yeah, both this and the Stunfisk are both really, really good, I think. Those are actually some of my favorite cards, I think, out of this set so far. Also, too, I did see someone posted online, you have access to Hustle Belt, potentially, which would be crazy. So it's the tool card, you do 60 more if you have 30 HP or less. Definitely some synergy there. This card's also good, I think, even with stuff like Drampa GX still. Not that I think that Drampa is like the best attacker right now in Standard or anything, but it does have synergy with that too. So yeah, I'd say I do like the Spirit Team. Definitely a really good card. So we have a new Crocodile line apparently. Sandile. If it's your active, any damage done to your Pokemon is reduced by 20. Okay. Not a bad attack for, you know, just a little 60 HP basic. Let's see. All right, we got Crocodile. This I don't think there's yet to been a great Crocodile card, so let's see how this one does. Gobble Gobble Panic. That's a fun name. 3 colorless energy, 50 for every energy in your opponent's active's retreat cost. Ugh. Yeah, these cards are just historically never good. That attack's probably not going to be any different. Let's see, Crunch, 100 discard energy from your opponent's active. Seems bad, guys. Seems bad. So we have Wigglytuff up next. 80 for 3. Your opponent's active is now asleep. Nothing special there. I think the only consideration for this thing, there is a new energy coming out that's basically a triple colorless energy. You could throw that on it, but the only use I could see for this is like as a Ditto target, as I've mentioned for a couple of these types of Pokemon in this little first impression video so far. So if you're going against a deck that, if you're playing a deck that typically doesn't handle Ultra Necrozma well, or any other Fairy Weak type of Pokemon, you could choose this as a Ditto Prism target and then throw a Choice Band on it and take your knockout. But overall, the card doesn't seem very good. So next up we have Cleffa. So a lot of pressure on this Cleffa just because we've had a history of very, very powerful Cleffas in the past. So let's see. And actually, gotta say, I do love the artwork on this thing. It's actually incredibly adorable. But it has this ability, much like with the Tyrogue, your turn's going to end after a coin flip, but then you shuffle your hand into your deck and draw 6 if you flip heads. So kind of a nod to the old Cleffas. They all have kind of attacks like this. And much like with Tyrogue, especially, this is pretty good on the first turn. Like, a lot of times with decks, sometimes you're forced to grab a Cynthia instead of an Elm if you don't have a draw supporter, but in this case, since it has 60 HP, you can still commit to the Elm and then get a Cleffa as one of your Pokemon and try to refresh your hand at the same time. So yet again, I think this is another good potential first turn option. I do kind of like this, much like with the Tyrogue. I'm just not sure if I am going to commit the space to this, just because we already have a number of different powerful like support Pokemon in the form of Tapu Lele, Dedenne GX coming out in this set as well, Marshadow, etc. So I'm not sure if there's even a need for this, but it's definitely cool, especially because you can search it out with Elm, which is really nice. But it seems, we'll see how it goes. I'm not sold on these things yet. Yeah, Whimsicott GX. I actually do remember kind of liking this card. It was another one that got revealed like literally just a couple days before this whole set got revealed. So yeah, let's take a look at this thing. Ability, if it's damaged by an attack, flip a coin. If heads, prevent that damage. So much like the old Noivern and Cinccino, I think it was, or Minccino, I forget which one is the stage 1 form. But yeah, so much like those types of Pokemon in the past, has 2 different attacks, both for a fairy. First one does 10 plus 30 for each energy on it. So your base is 40 that you're hitting, not too great. 70 with Choice Band, also not too special. But I did mention there is the new like triple like boost energy thing coming out, so you can throw that on there as like an extra 90 damage. That seems kind of decent. So even though your damage isn't that great, you have a decent ability that can sometimes buy you a turn of not taking damage. So I actually do kind of like this card. Then the GX attack, it's fairy. Search your deck for 5 cards, put them in hand. So I think probably where my mind goes is you just probably play this with the new Porygon. Porygon accelerates special energies, so you can just use Porygon to accelerate these crazy special energies to make you do more damage, and just try to make sure that you flip heads a lot and not die. So yeah, I like this card. It doesn't seem like an absolutely like busted tier 1 card, but it seems fun. I will probably play some games with this and see how it does. So let's see, we got Meowth, we got Persian. Persian has an ability. Each of your Pokemon play with the cat they attack pay no energy to use their attacks. That's spicy. Okay, so we have Persian GX. Persian does not have Cat Day. Let's actually just do a quick little search here. Alrighty, so we have, oh yeah, we have the Meowstic and Esper that we looked at. So in the case of Meowstic, Yeah, do 70 and change their weakness to Psychic is actually pretty good for 0 energy. And even Ear Kinesis on the Esper is also a pretty solid little attack for again, 0 energy. That seems pretty nice to me. Huh. Okay, this is kind of a fun little archetype that the set is going to give us. I'm not sure how good it's going to be. Like, I feel like the damage output might just be slightly below where it needs to be. But this definitely seems very interesting. Huh. Is there anything else? We have Meowth. Oh, and we have Litten as well. Okay, so you could still play like a fire Pokemon just to maybe for some extra type coverage. And then the defending Pokemon can't retreat, so that actually could be relevant as well. Huh. So this is kind of a cute little budget deck, it looks like, but I feel like the damage output might just be a little low. Okay, but nevertheless, I think that will be maybe a fun deck to try out. So I'll have to keep an eye on to see how those cards do. But going on Persian GX, we have a Stage 1, 200 HP, Catwalk ability. If your Pokemon or GX or EX was knocked out by damage, search your deck for up to 2 cards. That's pretty good. But you can only use 1 Catwalk ability during your turn. Okay, so that's instantly much more balanced. But yeah, that's actually super good. Let's see the attack, though. 3 colorless, 10 plus 20 for each Pokemon in your discard. Okay. It's pretty cool. So up to a maximum of 9 Pokemon. So if you have all 9, you're doing 190. Not too bad. For 3 colorists, that's pretty good because you can play the new triple boost energy powered up via anything else, really, just because it is colorless. That's actually pretty cool. I can't... Like, Persian GX is probably the last Pokemon I expected to get a GX, but it's actually a pretty decent card. They have been showing Persian a lot of love in the TCG lately in general, though. And then GX attack, 150, switch it. That doesn't seem nearly as good, but I think this ability is pretty insane. I really, really like this ability. So you could easily play this as a Ditto Prism target. You can even play like a 1-1 and a Ditto Prism. Yeah, this just seems absolutely crazy. Especially because your opponent can't disrupt the cards you're picking either. So they're going to take a knockout. You get 2 cards, and then your turn starts. So they can't even like marsh out of you or anything. So yeah, this definitely seems good. I like this card. I will be very curious to try this out. Not only for the ability, but for the attack. Revenge is pretty good here as well. So yeah, this is definitely I think one of the highlights we've looked at so far. Drio, flip a coin. Nope. Pass. Porygon. Okay, let's see what the other Porygons do. Okay, the attack here is actually kind of relevant. Flip 3 coins for each head. Search your deck for an energy. Doesn't have to be basic. Really important to note for Porygon Z. Even the other Porygon evolution pieces are decent. Just draw a card, draw 2. It's pretty decent. Porygon Z. So yeah, this is another card that did get revealed a little bit early. And has ability. You may use this ability as many times as you like. Attach a special energy from hand to one of your Pokemon. That's good. So this is actually really cool because not only can you accelerate things like unit energies, I'm sorry, not unit energies, but double colorless energies and like the new triple boost energy, counter energy, etc., etc. I'm actually kind of excited about this because it kind of gives like a form of energy acceleration to every type once you start factoring in rainbow energies and unit energies. So like we were talking about, Machamp and Marshadow Tag Team doesn't really have any great energy acceleration in standard. But with Porygon, if you just play a bunch of unit energies, you can actually accelerate those to pay its attack cost, which is pretty cool, I think. So this is definitely, I think, one of the highlights of the set. I don't think we've had, a type of Pokemon like this. We've had Magnezones in the past like this, Emboar, Blastoises, all sorts of things like this for basic energies, but never for special energies. So that's actually really, really spicy. So there's just like an endless amount of applications, I think, for this. Even think of something like Gardevoir, where you can just like Secret Spring your Fairy Energy, then use Porygon to attach like 2 of those boost energies to do a plus 180 for the turn. Like, that's absolutely nuts. So yeah, Porygon, pretty good. Has synergy with the Whimsicott we looked at as well. So definitely, I think, another one of my favorites we've looked at so far. And the attack is just kind of vanilla 120 confusion. Not bad, but the ability is definitely what's best here. So we got Snorlax up next. It's kind of a cute artwork, very unusual art style. Let's see, Power Lunch can heal between turns. Not too bad, 150 HP, so some tanking potential there. Has attack, triple colorless. Let's see, 60 plus 120 if they're a tag team. So it's not too bad, I guess. I'm not really a big fan of it though, just because there's really not a combination of cards that's going to allow you to one-shot a tag team. So if that's the case, there's already much more effective ways to two-shot tag teams. Probably going to pass on Snore. It's not a bad card, just not quite good enough to just see play over anything else. And so we have, I think, the last of the baby Pokemon. We have Happiny. So much like the others, has the same style of ability, but this one's flip a coin, if heads, heal 60. So this one I'm probably actually the least enthusiastic about, because the other ones are kind of viable because you can use them on the first turn when you can't attack anyways. So giving up your turn to a coin flip like ability like those is good, but this is an ability that's going to be better for like the mid to late game when you actually want to be attacking. So having your turn end with this card is actually really bad, I think. I do think you can play this in things like mill decks. I think that's going to be an option where or any control style deck really, where you're not aiming to attack. So something like the Steelix decks or Shuckle decks that we've kind of seen in Standard, or even like Hoopa, you can use this to just kind of tank a little bit more, especially in the case of some of these control decks where you have all these weird walls. Your opponent really has to struggle to even do like basic amounts of damage sometimes. So this could be a good card for those decks, but outside of like control variants, this card is absolutely terrible. But in terms of control, I do think this might be an option. The only thing that would deter me is the low HP, because you are trying to deny prizes the whole game, and I don't know if this is going to be that great for that. There is some use, like I said, it's a little bit more limited, I think, than the others, though. And Chatot. This is actually the last Pokemon. So, shuffle your hand and deck, draw equal to amount of cards in opponent's hand, and then 10 confusion. Yeah, this probably isn't too good. I think we have a number of other better starter Pokemon. Like Jirachi is, I think, just definitely the best starter Pokemon, because you can retreat into it and not need energy to get an effect out of it. And even still, we have stuff like Alolan Vulpix as well, so Chatot probably won't see too much play. So going on to our trainer cards, we have a couple reprints, but we have Zag Pickle. Okay. So look at the top 3 of either player's deck, choose one. That player shuffles the other cards back in their deck, then you put that card on top. So this is probably going to be better for like control style decks, like lock decks that prevent your opponent from attacking, and then from here you're going to kind of control their top deck and ensure that they can't do too much to hurt you. So that's really the use I'm seeing for this. Really not a big fan of the effect for yourself. I think it's going to be better to control your opponent's top deck. I don't traditionally play decks like that, so I'm probably not the best person to ask how good this type of card is. It seems okay. You'd basically need a way to like control your opponent, like lock them, while also doing damage at the same time to them. So some sort of like Excelgor Stoutland style deck or something like that could abuse this, but something like a Wailord Mill style deck probably would not, unless you're at like a 0 card hand or something like that, and you like want to buy turns or something. I don't know. Definitely, I think it's gonna be best for like the attacking or damaging control decks. So next up we have Fire Crystal. Yeah, this is the item I talked about already earlier. So put 3 fires from your discard back into your hand. So it's like a strict upgrade of energy retrieval for fire Pokemon. So that seems really good, especially with that new Blacephalon we looked at. Really with the new supporter that we're going to get to as well, that attaches fire from hand. So yeah, this seems pretty good. Definitely a fan of this. Pretty straightforward though. Dusk Stone. This is another card I am a big fan of though. So another item card, and if you have a Pokemon in play that evolves into Mismagius, Honchcrow, Chandelure, or Aegislash, search your deck for a card that evolves from that Pokemon, including a Pokemon GX, and put it on that Pokemon to evolve it, then shuffle your deck. And it's important to note, it does say you can use this card during your first turn or on a turn that the first turn that a Pokemon was put into play. So that means we can play this on our Murkrows and get out Honchcrow GX on the first turn of the game, which is really, really spicy. So that's definitely good. We do still have the Mismagius from Crimson Invasion, which is honestly a half-decent attacker. It has the same ability that Honchcrow has, but just as an attack. So that's also, I think, a valid option as well. So definitely a super good card. And of course, we'll have to keep our eye on any Aegislash or Chandelure cards that get printed as well. This will definitely be a nice consistency booster for those too. Next up, we have Giovanni's Exile. This is the card that we kept seeing all of those mill fighting Pokemon talk about. So you choose up to 2 of your bench Pokemon with no damage counters on them. Discard those Pokemon, all cards attached to them. So this definitely has a number of different uses. Pretty good, I think. I think I like this maybe, I don't know, maybe slightly better and expanded if I had to say. Because I'm kind of thinking of decks like Vespiquen just as an example. You can like bench a bunch of Shamans. Then like in the mid game, sometimes we've seen people use Parallel City to discard them. But also with Giovanni here, you can do the same thing without needing Parallel City. So that is kind of cool. I could definitely see a world where that is nice. You can discard things like Tapu Lele's, Marshadows, or even like the new Dedenne GX coming out. That way they don't just sit there and give up easy prizes. Also go with Amistar to make sure you can keep locking your opponent. Or the new Crabominable. So there's definitely a bunch of, I think, uses for this card. I think expanded, this card is going to be a little bit more flexible just because you can compressor away this as a one-of and reuse at any point with Versus Seeker. But it definitely still seems like a card that has some practical uses. So next up we have Welder. So yeah, this is the the fire supporter I kept referencing. Attach 2 fire from your hand to one of your Pokemon, then draw 3. So yeah, this is definitely just like a super good supporter. I would say maybe even a bit better than something like Blacksmith that we've seen and expanded as well, just because you actually get to draw cards while you're getting energy in play too. So especially after the first turn of the game, like the Ho-Oh decks that want to play Kiawe and stuff like that, in the mid game, if they lose like their only attacker with energy, they have to like take a turn to Kiawe again, and something like this is going to be much better for those style decks, or even like the new Reshiram Charizard. So this is just blatantly good in a number of different decks, whether it's Reshiram Charizard, Blacephalon GX, Ho-Oh, really anything, even Flareon GX potentially as well. So just an overall really solid card. Next up we have Red's Challenge, the like hollow supporter of the set. And actually I think it's the first time we've ever gotten Red as a supporter. I don't think I remember any other cards with him. But let's see, discard 2 from hand. Search your deck for a card. Okay. So we have computer search in the form of a supporter. That's pretty nifty. So I definitely see how this card would be good. You know, we've seen things like Skyla or even Volkner currently as well see play, even though they have kind of a limited style of searching effect. But they've still seen plenty of competitive play, and this is kind of a better version, especially when compared to Skyla in particular. So immediately off the top of my head, I really don't know how decks are going to change their supporter counts around to accommodate this, or if even every deck is going to play it. But I feel like the effect of this is strong enough to where it will see play though. This is another card also that just seems like blatantly good and expanded. You can compressor it away, and especially if you have any decks that play Execute, like Zoroark just as an example, you can always propagate your eggs, discard them, search your deck for any card, which is crazy, and then just keep going about your way. So I think the use for this is like a little bit narrow. It's not a card you're going to see as like a 4 of like Cynthia, just because a lot of times you need more than one card in a given turn. That's the big downside to this. But nevertheless, I think the searching effect is strong enough to where you could see this in counts similar to Skyla that we've seen in the past. So we have a new Fighting Stadium. So your attacks do 10 more damage if they have basic fighting energy attached, but if you have fewer prize cards, or I'm sorry, if you have more prize cards remaining than your opponent, you're going to do 40 more instead. And it does not apply to Ultra Beast. That's wild, actually. So that's kind of good that they knew that this would be maybe too good with things like Buzzwole GX and Buzzwole. But even still, I think there's a number of other cards that could potentially want to abuse this. We have like Donphan and Expanded. We have the Hitmonchan and Hitmontop that got printed in recent sets. There's some other random fighting stuff here and there that is pretty good. So this is definitely good, especially in Expanded 2 where Fighting Stadium hasn't been a good supporter, a good stadium in a long time. This can kind of replace that in certain decks too. So this seems like definitely, I think, a pretty solid card here. We have Dust Island. Let's see. So this is the one I was talking about with the Muck tag team. So when a player switches their poison active with a trainer card, their new active is now poison, okay? And if there is an effect that alters the amount of damage counters taken from poison, that carries over. Okay, okay, okay. So that's much better. So that kind of addresses the big problem that Muck has, where there's just so many switching methods right now to where the poison won't stick. But this actually kind of makes it much more viable, I think. Now, the big downside to this is kind of a passive supporter, meaning your opponent can, or not supporter, stadium card. Why do I keep doing that? So what that means, your opponent can field blower it. They can just put down a stadium of their own. So I think you have to play it if you're playing Muck, but I'm not sure if just the whole combo is strong enough to endure all of the switching cards that we have, all of the stadiums that are popular right now. But it will give Muck a boost in playability, if nothing else. And it looks like we just have a bunch of reprints, kind of keeping with what other recent sets have been doing. Looks like this time we're going to get Fiery Flint. We get a Rescue Stretcher, Caolan. Really like the art on this one in particular. And Cynthia, which is cool. And then I believe this is the last new card. That's going to be Triple Boost Energy. Kind of mentioned this a few times. It's basically a reprint of the old Boost Energy from the old EX era back in the day and like the mid-2000s. But it can only be attached to evolved Pokemon, and you discard it at the end of your turn. But it provides 3 colorless energy. Pretty straightforward. Luckily, there's a number of different Pokemon that would love to abuse this, like Gardevoir GX, that new Whimsicott GX we looked at, even a bunch of random stuff we've looked at throughout this set review, like that Marowak we looked at, Wigglytuff. Just a number of different things could abuse this. So at some point, I'll probably have to also dig through the card pool that we have and see if there's any other things that we're like forgetting that have a triple colorless attack that we've kind of like written off because of that. So we'll have to see how that's going to go. But I do like this card. This seems pretty neat. Definitely at the least seems good in stuff like Gardevoir and the new Whimsicott, or like decks that are going to play Porygon. So yeah, guys, that is going to be the last card of Double Blaze. I think overall my impressions of this set, it's okay. I don't think it's quite as good as the last sets that Japan has been getting, but nevertheless, there's still some important things in here. If we scroll back through some of my favorites, I think we had Welder. I do like Welder. That's pretty good. Or just like the fire support in general. Welder, the fire crystal thing. Dusk Stone. I love this thing. And Honchcrow. Let's see. Oh, Porygon Z. Yeah, this is definitely among one of my top favorites here. Both Persians are surprisingly good. Persian historically has not been the most competitive Pokemon in the TCG, so kind of cool we've been getting. It's been getting some good representation in recent sets. Whimsicott, even though I don't think this is tier 1, I cannot wait to try this out. I love this ability, and I can't wait to meme people with this thing. Let's see, what else? What else? Spirit Tomb, yeah, that and Stunfisk also highlights. Honchcrow, super, super good, I think. Let's see here. Yeah, actually, I am kind of surprised by some of these fighting Pokemon, even though I don't think they're great. I think a couple of them have potential. Like Rhydon does seem neat. That and Diglett with Giovanni's Exile. I think that was the name. Yeah. So those seem like they're fun. They might be worth trying out. Let's see. Mew is a nice tech that we're getting. Gengar's cool. Really bummed the attack on this isn't stronger, though. Let's see. Stunfisk, we said that one was good. Bucephalon, yeah, this was another kind of pleasant surprise. I do want to kind of try out maybe a whole like non-GX or primarily non-GX version of Bucephalon just centered around this thing. That seems like it has potential. Oh yes, Salazzle. Forgot about this thing too, man. So maybe there is more good stuff in here than I'm giving this set credit for. I think there's nothing that's just like blatantly broken or super like format defining. Like there's nothing like Dedenne GX in this set or like Lieutenant Surge or, you know, just a card that's going to just absolutely, I think, rattle the game in like a monumental way. I think Honchcrow has a chance to be pretty disruptive like that, but there's a lot of just generally solid things in here, but nothing that's just like absolutely broken beyond belief, I don't think. But overall, still a nice little pool of cards here, and like I said, we're going to get these whenever the set does get released internationally in the form of Broken Bonds. But yeah, that's going to wrap up my first impressions, guys. Definitely feel free to sound off in the comment section. Do you guys like these types of videos, or would you prefer just to wait for our full set reviews? Definitely sound off below. And also let me know, too, what cards in here were you excited about? I know there's a good bit of them, so definitely sound off below. Let us know your thoughts. But as always, guys, if you do enjoy this content, feel free to like and subscribe, and consider supporting this channel by becoming a patron over at patreon.com/rarecandytcg, or by picking up some merch from our online store, rarecandytcg.com. It would mean a lot. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.